This is the most important Primal diet video for beginners. Basically, there's 4 main components of the Primal diet. That is the raw foods, which includes raw meat and raw dairy. Separate from that is vegetable juice. Okay. Then we have the hot baths, and then there is high meat, and there may be some tangential things that I'll cover in these 4 main topics, which will be addendum. But starting with the first topic here, the raw meat, the raw foods, the raw dairy. So basically, there's red meat, which is beef, goat, lamb. And there's white meat, which is poultry and fish. Tuna is still a white meat, even though it's red, okay? So basically, the red meats are more acidic. They heal your muscles and other similar tissues. And the white meats heal the nerves, the lymphatic system. Fish is really good for brain. And they're more alkalizing, so they're not as acidic as the red meats. The red meats can also cause hyperactivity. When you're eating meat, if you're not on a weight loss program, you want to add raw fat to that. And even if you are trying to do weight loss, you could do like a golf ball size of meat with a little fat. But generally, it's recommended you have about what is it? 2.5 tablespoons, something like 1.5 ounces of fat with your meat, because the fat will provide an energy source and allow the meat to be used as rebuilding, regeneration. So that's pretty much the most important thing, is the raw meat. Even if you're not going to do a full Primal diet, still eating raw meat will benefit your health. That's just a fact. So, moving on from there is dairy. So dairy is really good. You want to get raw milk. Ideally, cow's milk is better. Goat's milk is good if you're very overweight or if you have diabetes or something. But goat's milk has adrenal precursors, so if you're already skinny or you're hyperactive, I wouldn't take it. Yeah. But I think things like goat cheese would still be okay, unsalted goat cheese. So cow's milk is my favorite. I hear good things about sheep's milk. You want to get milk from healthy animals, obviously, that aren't pumped full with a bunch of crap. Of course, a cow that has gotten a vaccine or something, or doesn't have horns, it's still better to drink that milk. It's better than nothing. So, sometimes you have to make do with what you got to make do with. If you think it's a good cost benefit, then go ahead. And it's still raw, obviously. So you want to make sure your milk is not cooled below 41 to 38 degrees, something like that, in that ballpark. I know a lot of places, they put it in the cooler, and they cool it right down to 35 degrees. So I get my milk unrefrigerated. I pick it up, it sits on the counter until I get it. It's good stuff that way. The milk, unrefrigerated, it has growth hormone. It doesn't have stem cells, it has growth hormone. Growth hormone and stem cells are different. But yes, the unrefrigerated milk is the best, and usually I dole out a gallon of 4-quart jars that I'll drink, and then I'll keep some in the fridge, just because that's just where I have room, and the milk will still ferment. Ferments better when it's not refrigerated. Even if you put it in the refrigerator, when I say unrefrigerated, I mean it's not cooled upon the when they get it from the cow, they put it in the machine and then they cool it down and then they put it in the jugs. That cooling destroys bacteria. It affects the fermentation rate. But if you just keep it in your fridge or something, it still ferments better, I think, in a way. So yeah, and then there's butter. Butter's pretty good. You can only digest about 70% of the butter. It's good for your skin. It's good for your hair. It's good for binding toxins. You can make a lube formula, which is in the books. I'm not going to talk about that. You need to read the book if you want to learn more about that. That's something good you can drink. Butter's a part of that. Personally, with meat meals, I prefer to do bone marrow or intestinal fat for a couple reasons. So we already know butter doesn't digest as well as animal fat. So when I say animal fat, what does that mean? Does that mean butter? In a way, no. Because I'm talking about the fat that's actually on the animal, okay? So that's the best, most healing fat. If someone is going to tell you that butter is the most healing fat, they're wrong, because that's not what Atranos said, and you can only digest 70% of the butter. Is butter good? Yes. Is it the best? No. Not for healing. And getting fat is not healing. Getting fat is for mitigating detoxification symptoms. Healing is going to happen regardless of how fat you are. What it does mitigate is detox symptoms. And that's actually, a good thing to get fat, because going through a detox, if you've ever been through a detox, you know. If you haven't, you don't know. I've been through a couple, and skinny and fat, and let me tell you, when you're fat, it's so much easier. But anyway, animal fat. Yes, the best animal fat is not the back trimmings or the stuff that's between the legs. It's the stuff that's inside the cavity, the body of the animal. The fat that lines the intestines or the organs is the best. The suet or the leaf lard, they call it. I just call it intestinal fat. Mostly I'm ripping up some chickens, okay? And there's that real, golden fat around the intestines. That's the best stuff. That's the best stuff you want. It's the most healing. It tastes the best. It melts so much better than other fats. And I think because it melts easier, it's more absorbable. And I know Ajanas said that the intestinal fat, I believe he said this. I know for a fact he said animal fats are the best. And I believe he said the intestinal fat is the best. And I was thinking about this when I would slaughter chickens because, as I described, the fat, golden, very creamy, liquid. So it's obviously more digestible than the back fat. It's also more tasty than the back fat of like a chicken or something. That fat's a little tougher. It doesn't melt as easy. But yeah, so if you're into healing, the fats you mostly want to concentrate on are the animal fats and the bone marrow. Butter's good. Cream is good. I'm a big fan of sour cream. I let my cream sour mostly. In the cooler months when there's not a lot of flies, I keep it out that way. Let it sour on the counter. You can let it sour in your fridge. Takes a little longer. It's okay. Not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best. But yeah, sour cream is better. You can eat sour cream with your meat. Don't eat regular cream with your meat because it will coat it. You won't digest 40% of your meat. So keep that in mind. Sour cream is good. I'm not sure about cultured butter or rotten butter, I guess. It kind of turns into blue cheese, I guess, after a while. I've never had butter that long because I don't get too much of it. And when I do, I usually use it up in stuff, nut formula and other things. So, but I've heard that when it gets like a blue mold, it probably digests easier. Do you digest 100% of it? I don't know. But it probably digests easier, and I think it's a little better. It works a little better. But animal fat is key. So be careful of people who tell you that butter's the best, and they neglect the animal fat and the bone marrow because that stuff is gonna make you heal faster. If you listen to those people, you're heeding your own healing process. So don't do that because you only have so much time. So the third thing, as I mentioned, the hot baths. Oh no, well I guess I skipped the second thing. Vegetable juices. So vegetable juices are great. Don't listen to people who say, "Oh, toxic anti-nutrients. Vegetables are bad." Well, we can't eat the vegetables, okay, because of the fiber. You can't unlock the fats and proteins and the minerals inside of the fibers. That's not going to happen. So that's why we juice. You want to get yourself a slow press masticating juicer sort of thing. You can use a centrifugal juicer. That'll get the job done. It's not the best, and they're not as sturdy, but that's what Agenus would use when he traveled. When he traveled around the country for his workshops, I had a centrifugal juicer for a while, just to see if I liked juicing. Turns out I needed it. I liked it, so I went and found a deal online on OfferUp for $50. A Ninja slow a masticating juicer. This baby, it's pretty good. It's not the best. It's pretty good. The best juicer is the Green Star. I think the Green Star Elite. I'm saving up for one of those. So if you're really into juicing, you know, Green Star is good. I did the math too. Like with this juicer, I need like 3, 4, well, like anywhere from 3 to 5 stocks to get anywhere from 3/4 to a gallon of juice. And if you have a Green Star, you get 1/4 juice about from 1 celery plant. So you basically cut your need for produce in half. And the Green Star would pay for itself within a year's time, I do believe. Yeah, so celery juice is the main component. You can add stuff like a little bit of beet, a little bit of carrot, 5 to 10% of the volume, cilantro. You can do, I think, as much as 20% parsley. The parsley and cilantro are good for heavy metals. The cilantro's a more intense heavy metal grabber. Goes after the deep-rooted metals. Beet's good for hydrochloric acid production, so I would have vegetable juice with beet earlier in the day as opposed to later in the day. I'm not a big fan of carrots in vegetable juice. Gives me too much energy. I like my vegetable juice to calm me down. I would prefer to take carrot juice with milk. But I don't drink a lot of carrot juice. It makes me a little emotional because of the sugar. So I don't really feel like I have a need for much carrot juice. But yeah, definitely celery every day. If I peel cucumber and the peels are organic, I also juice the peels. And yeah. And I guess I forgot one thing about the raw foods is cheese, raw and salted cheese. I'll bring that up real quick. Raw and salted cheese is very important for binding and removing heavy metal toxins from the body. You want to make sure your cheese is not heated above like 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like the limit. That's what Amos does. They use a vegetable rennet, I believe, or some sort of rennet with salt, but the amount of salt they use is so minimal it's not an issue. But ideally, or rather, you can make your own cheese. Just let your milk go bad, let it separate from the whey, and then you can strain out the whey from the curds. I just leave my stuff to dry on a plate, and you know, it makes cheese. It just dries up into cheese. It doesn't look great, but it does the job. And the drier your cheese gets, the more effective it is, which is why you saw earlier I have that stuff. I cut it up, I let it dry up. It takes about 5 days. If you cut it up even smaller, it dries faster, but I've got like space issues with the plate. So yeah, basically that's what you need to know there for those first 2 things, the raw foods, the raw fats, and the vegetable juices. Make sure you're spacing them out like an hour. Don't drink your juice and eat your meat within an hour of each other. You need to wait at least an hour before eating. If you're drinking, and if you're eating, then you got to wait an hour to drink. I think the first one of the day in the morning you can do like 45 minutes, but I always do an hour. I don't try to, risk it. That's that. Hot baths. So you can take a hot bath, like for, was it 30 to 60 minutes a day. And this is around like 102 to 108-ish degrees. You can take a hot bath every day. If you're in municipal tap water, I'll tell you, it's real bad now. I know that the recommendations are probably outdated. You're going to want to use 4 cups of raw milk, raw whole milk. You're going to want to use about half a cup of apple cider vinegar, and then about a quarter cup of sea salt. Or I use dead sea salt. You can use any sun-dried sea salt. That's good stuff. You could probably throw a little clay in there too if you wanted. The other option is coconut cream, clay, and apple cider vinegar. Or maybe it's coconut cream, clay, and salt. I don't have coconut cream. I don't have access to that, so I don't really mess with that. Unfortunately, I wish I did. But anyway. So, and then there's, the hot baths. You can do those every day if you want. They speed up healing. And then there's something called the lymphatic bath, which is where you're in there for 60 to 90 minutes at a higher temperature. And the goal is to get your body temperature to at least 101.5 degrees. You get your body temperature to 101.5 degrees, it melts away all the plastics and hydrogenated oils in your body that are in your lymphatic system, clogging your lymphatic system. And then after you're out of the bath, you want to bundle up in some warm clothes, do some exercise, walk around, go outside, walk around. I like to hang in an inversion table for a few minutes and do some push-ups, and I'll put my stuff away from the bath, so I'm going up and down the stairs quite a bit because I just make more trips, and then like go for a little walk in your warm clothes. You want to move for at least like 30 minutes after your bath, and then that's it is what it is. You can probably sleep. Excuse me. You can sleep for like 2 hours. I find myself a nap is nice after them, but then it's hard to sleep at night. And I say it's hard to sleep at night not because you took a nap, but if you take a bath too late in the day, that's not a good thing. You want to try to take your bath, or rather I should say, you should try to finish your bath before 6 or 7 p.m., depending on when you go to bed. I find that if I take a bath too late in the day, I'm up. I can't fall asleep because of detoxification. And it doesn't matter if you're taking clay or, whatever. You're just going to be up, and it sucks. So try to take your bath earlier in the day rather than later in the day. Just a little word of advice for you. Especially the lymphatic bath. You could probably get away with taking a hot bath in the evening as long as you don't let your body temperature get up too high. And if your body temperature is getting above 101, that's probably a little too much that late in the day. I would guess. I just take lymphatic baths twice a week. You got to take the lymphatic baths 3 days apart. If you take lymphatic baths, you can take regular hot baths the next day. And it might be ideal because when you take the lymphatic baths, it removes junk from your body, basically, and it can move to your connective tissues in your skin. If you don't sweat it out, like through exercise or hot baths or sitting in a hot car, then that's going to build up under your skin, and you can get like lupus and MS and stuff. It's real bad. So if you're doing lymphatic baths, make sure you're getting some activity in, and also doing hot baths or sweating a lot the following days. So that's that for hot baths. Pretty much, I take my hot baths, I get in at 110, and within like 10 minutes it comes down a couple degrees because the heat transfers into your body, and I'm already up to like 101 degrees after like 15 minutes if I get in that hot. So it takes at least 30 to 40 minutes to get to 101.5. But the hotter you get in, the better. You don't want to get in above 110 because that's bad for your skin. It's just bad. Don't do that. 110 is the max. That's the highest you should go. I mean, you could go higher theoretically, but you don't really want to. So, yeah. And then this is the high meat. This is the fourth component, I'd say. This is all my high meat jars. These haven't been aired yet. They've probably been sitting there for about 3 months. As you can see, they're pressurized because the bacteria that feeds on the meat releases the gases. That's really dictates the taste, kind of like the temperature. So I just keep them in my basement. It's not too hot down here. It's like 60 degrees. In the winter, it gets around like 48 degrees, 45 degrees. That's ideally where you want to keep the temperature. I think the refrigerator's too cold, honestly. It takes too long. But anyway, so yeah, I've got, mostly beef liver here is what I do. But I've got some catfish here. It's okay. Yeah, so I do that. And, yeah, mostly just beef liver. This, I haven't opened this one in like 2 years. So that's from April 19th, 2 years ago. So yeah, it's kind of molding there. It's kind of off-gassing. So I'm going to try that someday. I just kind of keep forgetting about it. I haven't been craving high meat lately, honestly. When I first started the diet, I was always craving high meat. And basically how you make it is you just cut it up into small pieces. You put it in the jar halfway or less. You close it. You air it out every 3 or 4 days. After about a month, 2 months, you can let it go a little longer. I find that it will release more gas and pressurize, and it can affect the taste. You kind of get like a better taste. If you let it go too long, though, it won't taste as good. You'll have to start airing it out more again regularly for it to start tasting a little better. But after like 5 months, no matter what you do, it kind of goes flat in a way, if I can describe it that way. But if you add it, like if flies or bugs get in your high meat, that introduces a new bacteria, and the taste will come back. It will become alive again because it's feeding on a new flesh. Just in my experience, you can make high meat from fresh meat. It's more health-giving that way. If you make it from frozen meat, it's not ideal, but you can do it if that's like the only thing you can do. It's more detoxing that way. And I used to make high meat from frozen meat. I never really had a problem with it. Some people do. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, not everybody has the same access to food, so you have to make do with what you have to make do with. I think if you want to try high meat, and you can only get frozen liver or whatever, then, hey, give it a shot. If you don't like it, then you don't have to finish it. Give it to a dog or give it to a friend or something. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's about high meat. You just cut it up, put it in the jar, let it sit. Some people let it sit outside in all kinds of weather. I like to keep it in the basement, honestly. So that's just how I do it. Frozen meat's okay, not the best. It's okay. It's more detoxing, so just be aware of that. I never had bad detox symptoms from it, so I don't know. I always found the high meat helped me. I felt like the high meat helped me facilitate an easier detox because you're eating a bunch of bacteria that are going to act as janitors inside your body. You eat it obviously for like mood and euphoria, feeling, which I don't really get too much of anymore, but when I first did, I used to. And I don't know why. I haven't been craving it. I don't have a taste for it like I used to, especially since I started drinking milk. So I don't know. But yeah, it's beneficial to try some high meat at least, especially if you are down in the dumps a lot and you feel like you need to pick me up or something. This can definitely help you for 1 or 2 days. And yeah, so that's about all, I guess, for like introductory information. Once you get on the diet, you kind of find things change. Your taste change, your needs change, your wants change. Maybe your life changes. And the diet will change as a result. The different kinds of meat you eat, the red meat versus the white meat, high meat or no high meat, different kinds of dairy. Maybe you want to pate your meats more, maybe you don't. So all these things change. And everybody's body is different. So you really just have to try a basic. Read the books, read the books, read the books, read the books. You just have to read the books and then try to follow whatever kind of you feel is best and what you can do, what you're able to do, and then you make adjustments from there. It's always changing. Try to read the books once a year. That's about all. Again, there's some other things that I didn't cover because they're not, these are the main points to get people started. And if you haven't read the books, read the books. So that's all.